Roy Moore's wife says she and her husband are the victims of attacks by the media, and he's not stepping down. Kayla Moore held a press conference today amid the sexual allegations against Roy Moore. She called him an officer and a gentleman, and she and a group of Republican women in Alabama defended him. Gary Tuchman is in Birmingham. He joins us now live. Gary, what did Kayla Moore have to say at this press conference today?
Well, John, Kayla Moore and her husband Roy have clearly developed a message for the so-called mainstream media, and that is, we will make statements to you, but we will not take questions from you. And that was the trend that continued today. Kayla Moore participating in a news conference on the steps of the Alabama State Capitol in Montgomery, surrounded by women who support Roy Moore. The wife strongly defended the husband.
He is a loving father and a grandfather. And most important, he is a Christian. So let me set the record straight. Even after all the attacks against me, against my family, against the foundation, and now against my husband, he will not step down. He will not stop fighting for the people of Alabama.
Her statement did not go over well with accusers. One of the attorneys for accuser Gloria Deason said on Facebook, quote, Roy Moore continues to be despicable by using religion as a shield against accountability for his sex crimes. Sexual predators and child molesters exist in all walks of life, all backgrounds, all occupations and professions, all races, all religions, including evangelical houses of worship, just like their victims. Now, we certainly wanted to ask Kayla Moore a question. She was hustled out after she made her statement. We wanted to ask her, for example, what does she think of Donald Trump, the president of the United States, saying almost nothing about her husband? Does she think that's a good thing? But she didn't want to answer. She got in the car and she drove off. John?
And so one person who did speak today was the Republican governor of Alabama. She made an announcement about who she will be voting for.
Well, that's right. Governor Kay Ivey had not said anything up until today. And today she participated in the traditional pardoning of the Thanksgiving turkey. And let's just say it's not only the turkey that's happy tonight. Mr. Moore may be happy, too, because she said because she wants to support the Republican Party, she will vote for Roy Moore. But what's most interesting about it is she also said this about the accusers.
I certainly have no reason to disbelieve any of them. The timing is a little curious, but at the same time, I have no reason to disbelieve them.
So what it comes down to is this. She may believe the accusers, the governor of the state of Alabama, but she is voting for the accused. John?
All right, Gary Tuchman in Alabama for us. Thanks so much, Gary. With me now, Ed Martin and Tara Setmayer. Tara, I want to start with you. Roy Moore's wife standing beside him, other women up there as well. Do you think that will make a difference in this race?
No, because I think you're going to find sycophants that follow people everywhere you go. I mean, it's almost like a political Stockholm syndrome. So I don't really think that that's going to be credible outside of the echo chamber that they're already in. Most people, objective observers looking at this, are probably horrified by the fact that this many people in Alabama are excusing away the actions of a potential child predator here. It's amazing to me that even what the governor of Alabama said, she is literally choosing party and party tribalism over morality. You know, our founding fathers warned against this kind of tribalism, warned against this kind of dogmatic allegiance to parties. I mean, George Washington warned about that. He warned about, you know, individual power rising to the point where it lays on the ruins of public liberty. Benjamin Franklin said only a virtuous people are capable of freedom. I don't see how any of this excuse making for the idea of maintaining a Republican in office is good for America or even good for Republicans moving forward. And this is coming from me, a lifelong Republican. I think it's shameful and dangerous in the long run, actually.
Ed, you're shaking your head no.
Well, listen, I don't know what to say. Actually, the Founding Fathers talked a lot about the licentiousness of the press, too. That was something that was written about last week, in the sense that rushing to judgment, I've never seen anything like this. I mean, this gentleman, I agree with the statement that Jeff Sessions started it. He said, I have no reason to doubt these women. That's what being fair is. But I also have no reason to doubt Roy Moore. And, you know, different than Al Franken or Bill Clinton, they admitted what they did. This guy said he didn't do it. And today, when Kayla Moore stood on the steps, she said, my husband went to West Point. He served in Vietnam for 5 years. So he did have then a record that none of this ever came up until this, 2 weeks ago. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't have some respect for the victims and what they're saying. But the idea that you sit on there and you lecture that you think this man is so bad, it's really breathtaking. And the people of Alabama are looking up, and you know what they're saying? If you keep Al Franken in office and you keep lecturing us, we're going to elect the guy that's pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, not the liberal Democrat. And
Hey, guys,
Even if he's a charlatan.
One second, Sarah, because I do want to tell you what the women of Alabama are saying right now, at least according to the latest poll, which is from Fox News, by the way. Roy Moore is trailing by 26 points among women right now, likely voters in this race. So right now, women are looking at that, Tara, and saying they're displeased.
Absolutely, because women, they're mothers, they're daughters. They've gone through. Women are exposed to this kinds of behavior. We've seen this with all of the accusations and admittance of sexual harassment and sexual assault that's come out from powerful men. I mean, I'm not lecturing anyone. I'm actually I'm making a moral judgment, because in the game of politics, in the political arena, it is all about making a judgment. It's not a court of law. And when I see 9 accusers that are very credible to me with contemporaneous witnesses and 50 other people that are corroborating these stories, I'm sorry, but I believe that these people are credible. And you can't have it both ways. You can't say that, oh, well, I think that I don't have any reason to disbelieve the victims, but then turn around and say that Roy Moore is being raked over the coals by some unfair media. The media is there to hold people accountable, and that's exactly what the Washington Post has done. So you can't trot out Clinton accusers and expect everyone to believe them, and then turn around and say that, well, Roy Moore gets a pass. In the interest of pure politics, explain to me by how this advances Republican, conservative American values of freedom and liberty. How does that do that when you put someone this immoral in office?
Tara, honestly, can I answer the first part of John? It's very important for the viewers to know. Just like Donald Trump after the Billy Bush video, the polling is not going to make sense for a long time, if ever. So when you say that women are voting, they were also saying the same thing against Trump, and he won states that were polling wrong. So that's the first thing I'd say. And the people of Alabama are getting pretty tired. That Fox News poll shows some oversampling of different things. But Tara, here's what I just say is we have a system in this country of politics. And when people throw things up, you're right, we make a judgment about what we believe. But you know what? I don't think you're voting in Alabama. And the people of Alabama are saying, we've known this guy for decades, and this never came up, even when he was being destroyed by the media for being the Ten Commandments guy.
It wasn't safe for these women to come forward. It wasn't safe for these women to come forward.
We're running out of time here, Ed.
You're desperate, Tara. You're desperate to condemn people.
I'm not. You guys are the desperate ones trying to excuse away a child predator. I'm telling you straight. And women were afraid to come forward until the recent events of other powerful men being taken down by this. So now they felt safe to come forward. He was a man of the law. These were simple people in small town America that could not take on the law. And you see how these women have been destroyed.
Well, here's what I know.
And that's why they were afraid to come forward. I'm glad they had the courageousness to do it now.
Well,
Senator Moore should talk to us before he's sworn in. Senator Moore should answer some questions, or Judge Moore should answer some questions before December 12th. Election day is December 12th, at least for now in Alabama. Hopefully we'll have a chance to talk about this again, guys.
Bring in now Symone Sanders, CNN political commentator and former National Press Secretary for Bernie 2016, and Andre Bowers, CNN political commentator and former Lieutenant Governor of South Carolina. Good morning to both of you. And Symone, first, your response to what you just heard from Reverend Allison.
I think it's concerning, and it definitely gives me pause, and it goes back to something that we've been discussing on CNN for a few days now, and that a lot of times women who have been, and not just women, because men have been victims of sexual assault as well, people who are victims of any form of sexual assault, sexual microaggressions, sexual harassment, a lot of times they have trouble coming forward because the burden of proof is on the victim. And when you have folks who are pastors and other powerful people in the community who say the things you just heard the Reverend say, it definitely gives folks pause, and it just lets me understand even more why folks have such a tough time coming forward.
All right, let me put up this new Fox News poll, the latest numbers out of Alabama. It has the Democrat in this race, Doug Jones, 8 points ahead of Roy Moore at 42. I heard a chuckle there. What do you think about this?
I don't believe this poll. I think what we're seeing here is what we saw in the general election, where folks were hesitant to identify as Trump supporters in the polling, but then you saw folks go to the polls and vote for Donald Trump. I think that's what we're seeing here. Folks are hesitant to identify as Roy Moore supporters. Alabama is a different electoral map, and frankly, you have a lot of moderate Republicans that would have to pull the lever for Doug Jones, in addition to having black turnout be somewhere upwards around 28% in a special election for Doug Jones to emerge victorious. So not saying that it can't be done, but the numbers definitely don't add up right now.
Andre, now to you. I know we had an audio issue. Can you hear me?
I do hear you, Victor. Good morning.
All right. Good morning to you. Andre, first let me go to this. Late in the week, President Trump tweeted about Al Franken and his admission of, and we saw the picture involving a television host that he was on a USO tour with, and some inappropriate touching there. And she claims that he also kissed her without her consent. The president tweeted about that, but has not said anything about Roy Moore. When the White House press secretary, Sarah Sanders, was pressed on that, here's what she said yesterday.
He has weighed on Roy Moore. He did it while he was on a foreign trip in Asia. I did it repeatedly yesterday. In fact, I took about 15 questions on that topic and only one on Al Franken. So to suggest that this White House, and specifically that this president, hasn't weighed in is just inaccurate and wrong. He weighed in. He said if the allegations are true, he should step aside. He also weighed in when he supported the RNC's decision to withdraw resources from the state of Alabama. It's just a simply inaccurate statement to make about the president.
Well, to be clear, what the president said when he was on Air Force One during his Asia trip was that he would learn more about it when he got back. He was watching a lot of television, reading a lot of documents, wasn't really watching much television, traveling so much. Why hasn't the president, as directly as he came out about Al Franken, come out and spoken about Roy Moore?
Well, he has said, look, if he's guilty of this, then he should step down. Keep in mind, this wasn't President Trump's even nominee or preferred nominee. He supported his opponent. But I think he says, unlike Franken, who's admitted to it, which I think Franken did an actually absolutely phenomenal job in going ahead and addressing the issue, but Roy Moore has absolutely denied these allegations, so I think he should get his fair opportunity, whether it be in the court system or some way, to defend himself. And the president said, look, if he's guilty, fine, then he should step down. But if he's not, he should not be falsely accused. And so I think everybody feels like that Mr. Moore should have his day to defend himself.
All right. Let me come to you, Simone, again. Bakari Sellers has called for Al Franken to resign. Do you think he should?
Look, I think we need to have the same consequences across the board on this issue. If we really want to address and attack the system, and if we're saying that folks who have participated, committed an egregious act, who have made someone a victim, if we're saying that all of those people have no place serving in our, highest deliberative body, the greatest deliberative body in the land, then we should have, but we need to have the same thing across the board. And so if folks are calling for Al Franken to step down, are we going to get President Trump's resignation papers? Because he has also been accused.
Are you calling? Do you think that Al Franken should step down?
Yeah, I absolutely do. Because we need to have the same standard